we go.
Periscope did not post again. Is Periscope still a thing, or is it?
Yeah, no, it's still a thing.
If I go to Periscope, that happens. Okay. Oh Jesus! How do you log into this freaking thing? Ugh! God damn it! Log in with Twitter? No, no. God bless America. All right, I'm gonna have to do this later. We're gonna have to figure out what's going on with Periscope later.
Nope. Not that. Not that. Not that. Out of curiosity. Let me know if you guys hear this.
Negative.
Oh, okay. I didn't think so. It was worth a shot.
Are you trying to route a application or something?
Trying to, but I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I haven't figured that out either.
Supposedly, Pulse Audio allows it.
Yeah. Oh. So you would send it through your mic, I guess? But then you wouldn't be able to hear it.
I don't know. Don't know. Haven't been able to figure it out.
Maybe we'll play with it tomorrow.
Boy, have I got a surprise for you guys next week.
What? Wait. What's next week? We're not recording next week. That's the surprise.
What?
It's Turkey Day, Turkey.
Well, then I have a surprise for you in 2
it's
weeks.
not Turkey Day. It's Thanksgiving. It's a day to be with family, not do other things.
Not friends.
Not
Okay,
friends.
so you can't tell us. You can't tell us now. It's got to wait.
I'll show you guys next week. I'll send you a picture.
All right. Whenever you guys are ready, let me know.
I'm ready. Local recordings, and we need the Zencaster.
It's
Are we gonna do local recordings?
Oh, I'm not on it. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, because I don't have a backup on this, so I only have Zencaster.
Oh, so no local?
Yeah, no. He was asking because when we do PHP podcast, we do it through Zoom, and I record with Zoom. So I told him not to worry about local anymore. But here I don't have that. I have never tried recording with Skype, so I don't know if it's even something I can use. So yes, do a local recording. You can start it whenever you want to start it. We'll figure it out later.
All right, started.
We'll have to do a clap check though. Everybody running?
Yep.
All right. Clap check. 3, 2, 1.
Don't talk, John.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed he went that long.
What about the other guy? The one that couldn't keep his mouth shut.
I was helping.
All right,
How do you figure?
doing this.
I was
It's
reminding
go
you
time.
not to talk.
Go time, ladies.
I knew not to talk. I'm a professional. I know how to do this. By the way, I'm trying to do this thing. And we're already live. My millions of Facebook followers are now going to watch us as I unfriend them all. It's funny because it's true.
Okay, let me pour one more beer here. Let's pop it one. Oh. Uh-oh.
Are you going to share your screen, Thomas? Thanks.
I will crush you.
There you go.
Thomas,
Why
I'm
isn't it updating?
I don't know.
You know, you're not hitting the mute button. It's driving me crazy. All right.
Do, do,
If
do.
everybody's ready.
I was hitting my mute button.
This.
Something is wrong.
Oh, do you want to mess with it real fast?
Check, check.
I hear you.
That's interesting. My...
And the ugly gets uglier. Yes, that needs to be fixed for sure because you can't go a whole show without sucking on that thing.
Yes, I know. Well, get started. I'll figure it out.
Something tells me.
I'm with you, John. I'm with you, brother. All right. Welcome to episode 214 of PHP Ugly. I am in a very positive space right now. We have a COVID vaccine that's literally weeks, if not days, away from emergency approval. Our authoritarian government is running out of steam for their coup attempt, and that looks like it's coming to an end. And I'm here on a Thursday night talking PHP with the two people in the world I'd rather not be with. I love being with. John Congdon.
And you let in with politics. What a guy.
Thomas
It's
Wright.
number one on our list of things.
Hello!
And I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson.
Hey, what's your name again?
I put myself last because
That's because you forgot yourself.
If you
our
listen to the
benevolent
podcast,
dictator.
you should know that we record every Thursday, except for next Thursday because it's Turkey Thursday. But we typically record Thursday starting around 9 o'clock
Turkey
PST.
Thursday, it's Thanksgiving.
And yeah, so feel free to pop in and join us. You can talk to us in Discord. We already got people talking to us in chats, Discord chat, YouTube. For some reason, Periscope still isn't working. I don't know if I care enough to fix it, but I will look into it this week, I promise. And yeah, good week, guys. It's a good week. I'm being positive. We're gonna end this year on a positive note. It's been a rough freaking year, brothers and sisters.
It's kind of awkward with you being so positive. I'm not used to it that being this positive.
Get used to it, buddy.
Yeah, almost too positive.
This is my new. I got new medication. I'm in a happy place. So, I'm going to tell you guys how my weeks went because I always ask how you guys did, and I don't get.
Yeah, you're always last on the list.
I had a good week. I've been rocking some code.
Oh.
I spent the last 2 days.
Details?
2 days. I spent fully doing Vim, not even using PHP Storm anymore. And gotta admit, feeling pretty good. I had wavered for a long time from Vim as my everyday development tool, and I'm not committing to it being my everyday development tool now, but it felt damn good to be back in there. When I got the System 76 machine, I really started looking at my Vim configuration because I hadn't, like I said, hadn't really been using it every day as my main driver. So some of the plugins weren't configured optimal, and there were some new plugins. I switched over to NeoVim, NVim, which has some nice added features to it. So I've been tweaking it for the last couple of weeks, and I finally got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to spend a day or two just using Vim, and it felt good, man. It felt so good. The tools, the way it's implemented now, there's not that much difference between the way I use PHP Storm and NeoVim anymore, or NVim, or for me Vim anymore. It's it's pretty. I have that IntelliSense happening now. The only thing it's not doing is it's not making suggestions like PHP Storm does, which I'll admit is a nice little perk in PHP Storm. But yeah, I almost had to switch over to PHP Storm today because I wanted to do Xdebug, and unfortunately, my buddy who usually helps me out with my configuration of Xdebug
The,
wasn't
the
wasn't
sad part is
available.
I was like a mile away from your house, and I could have just swung by and helped you out. And I was like, nah.
Chose not to. Well, that's sweet of you. And it's not that I can't do Xdebug in Vim. I just I haven't had the time to configure it yet. I might do that this weekend though because I am really digging it again. I mean, I'm moving. I don't know what it is, but I move so much quicker in Vim than I do in PHP Storm. And
Really?
yeah, I can't even explain it. And I have this new. I don't know if it's a Vim plugin. I think it's specific to NeoVim. I installed this new thing called Telescope, which is a new file navigation system. Oh man, I love it. I am so happy with my Vim configuration right now. If I need to, so even in PHP Storm, I tweak how it formats my PHP files when I save. So in Vim, I have like a standard PSR2 format defined, but there are things in there that like I like to line up the equal signs and things like that in their array rockets and all. I like those things being lined up. So I need to go in and tweak it, customize it so Vim formats things the way I want it to format it, but it still formats it to PSR standard. As there are things I'd like to tweak. But yeah, it feels good, man. I'm a happy camper.
So, do you get the static analysis in line while you're coding as well? Like, hey, you're supposed to get back this type of object here, so that when you're using it later, it knows what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's nice. I'll show it to you sometime. It's really. I mean, and it's all one plugin. It's that Conquer of Code, or I think that's what it's called. COC, Conquer of Code, I think is what it is. But it's that one plugin is what ties IntelliSense into it, and it's just smooth as butter, baby. I am loving it. But I did some work with data tables this whole week. The client I'm working on has a big implementation of data tables, and I was really intimidated by it. I didn't really want to take on this task because there was a lot of data tables, but got my head around it and kind of piled through it, and was really happy with it.
Data tables is a JavaScript library, right?
Yeah, fortunately, I didn't have to do any JavaScript. They have some sort of PHP plugin or bridge to it, so it was actually really simple. Once I started understanding how they implemented things and where things were, because it's very it's not extremely straightforward, but once you get your head around it, the workflow makes sense. So
Yeah, the data tables that we use can actually handle eloquent queries. So when you do sorting and filtering, it handles it automatically by modifying the query. So it's very nice.
So it's been an enjoyable week. And then I got to talk with Andreas. Oh crap, what's Andreas's last name?
Heigl?
Yeah, okay, that sounds right. Heigl. Yeah,
Is it?
over in Germany. He's somebody I followed on Twitter for a long time. He's got a really good reputation in the PHP community, and again, just such a positive person to talk to. Very, very humble, very just engaging. Just enjoyed. I tell you, I realized that I'm so fortunate that I've managed to weasel myself into the position I'm in with a PHP architect and doing community corner, because I've told you guys for a long time I'm actually a fan of this. I'm a fan of development. I'm a fan specifically of PHP, and they're people in the PHP community I've followed for a long time, and I've realized it's like I'm like I'm like a sports writer. Like I really enjoy sports. I might even play it, but I'm really not that good at it. But because of who I am and what I get to do, I get to talk to everybody who is good at it. And
That's a great analogy. I like it.
That's kind of how I feel. You know, like I get to talk to all these great developers and all these people who are making changes in PHP community. People I've admired and followed for years, and I tell you, I haven't been disappointed by any of them.
There was that one.
Yeah, it's I just kind of been assessing things for myself personally and what I'm going to focus on in the next year, and I'm just so happy. I'm happy with everything that I've been able to do with John and running the business and things I'm doing with PHP Architect and things I'm doing here on the podcast. Everybody I get to meet, everybody who reaches out to me. I mean, I've made more friends through this podcast than I think I've made my entire life after high school.
Dude, I like this version of you. Like this happy, upbeat version of you is awesome.
And it's making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the problem. You know, these manic depressions come and go, and when they're gone, it's crazy. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good place. What do we got? We got people talking to us here. Buttery. What? Conquer of Completion. Thank you, Buttery, very much. Yes, Buttery Crumpets coming to my rescue as always. Can I ask which language servers implementation used? It's just I think it was just like PHP-LS is what it is. I just used the basic one. Seems to be the most features locked behind a paywall. Yeah. So I did pay for the IntelliSense. It wasn't a hefty bill. I forget what it was, but I was surprised that you had to pay for it. But yeah, I did pay for that IntelliSense hook. So yeah, I will let you know that.
Yeah, and again, we use these tools for business, and it's a business write-off. So it's well worth whatever it cost, unless it was, extraordinary. But usually we are willing to pay for the tools that we use because we make money in the language.
It's such a complete game changer. I mean, like I said, I've used Vim for years. John's used Vim for years. I've always tried to do those auto completions plugins, the ones that use the C tags.
Yeah.
And they were always like really fragile. Like when they worked, it was great, but it was always kind of a struggle to get them to work correctly. And this Conquer of Completion really kind of just addresses all of that for me. So it's I won't say it's worth it for you. I don't know your situation or your status, but for me, I mean, I pay every year for JetBrains products, so it was definitely worth it for me. Okay, I'm done. I'm out of fuel. Finished.
Well, you've been listening to PHP Ugly. Time to wrap it up. Thomas, how was your week?
Pretty good. I've been reading Laravel Queues in Action, which is a somewhat frustrating book for me to read because it covers from the very basics all the way to the more advanced functionality. And it mixes some stuff I didn't know in the basics section. So I have to read it even if I already know this, like the back of my hand, because there might be something that sneaks in there. Besides that, just doing the regular work.
What's an example of something that you learned from it, out of curiosity?
The order that your queue watchers run is sequenced. So if you have a supervisor and you say you monitor default and then Q1 and then mail and then profiles, if you have a job in each of those queues, then it executes those jobs in the order that they're defined in the supervisor. So priority on supervisors is set at runtime for each queue.
So it's not based on. It's not first job in, no matter what queue it's in.
No, it's not. It's whichever queue has items to pull or pop, and comes first in the list. So you can have if your default queue is always full, then your secondary queues might never ever get executed.
Oh wow. I use Beanstalk D, and it's not that way at all. It's based purely on time in queue.
Well,
or first
this
come,
is
first serve,
this
no
is
matter
the
which
Laravel
queue it's in.
supervisor. So it won't.
Laravel.
Yeah, this is the Laravel job supervisors. You're not.
I'm not familiar with that.
The supervisor is the script that runs, nonstop checking queues for jobs.
No, I know it's supervisor. I'm sorry, I know what supervisor is. What do you mean it's the Laravel supervisor though? I'm not sure what you mean.
Is that Laravel has its own queue supervisors that it runs.
Not supervisor D. You
Right.
talking about the artisan?
Yeah,
commands?
the artisan queue watch. Those are called
Okay.
supervisors.
Oh, I never.
See,
knew
you learn something from the book too.
So it's a little bit slow of a read, just because I've seen it and because I have trouble reading, which I sort of never addressed in my entire life until Monday. So, turns out I have astigmatism in both eyes, and I'm farsighted.
Welcome to
Yeah.
old age.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning that way too. I need to get to the eye doctor to have my eyes checked, but man, it's getting worse and worse every day, and it's driving me batty because I've always been so proud of my vision. And
That's
how great it was,
exactly,
and
yeah. That's
now I'm finding myself like, oh, I just can't focus.
That's
on
exactly
this.
where I was. I started getting headaches every day, and I've never ever gone to the eye doctor. I've never needed to. I have perfectly good vision, but it turns out that like clarity of vision isn't everything. There's also like binocular effects that can give you headaches even though you see perfectly clearly.
You know what? You know what's even more horrible is you'll get glasses. Like for me, you'll get glasses. Then a year later, you'll need another pair of glasses, like stronger glasses, and it just continues to go downhill for a couple of years, and finally it starts to level out. Like I think last year I didn't actually need a new script. I think I was able to keep the same script, but
Well,
yeah, it sucks.
And that eye exam is such a bizarre process. I had seen the like, better or worse things that they do with your eyes before, but I hadn't had the like checking for cataracts and checking for clarity test, which is a
Oh,
flashlight
yeah.
directly into your eye.
Well, and listen, I am a very open and liberal person. I'm very secure with my sexuality. I joke all the time because I'm perfectly fine with who I am sexually. But my eye doctor is a dude, and he invades way too much of my personal space for way too long. Like
Yeah,
he hovers like a little
they're
too
right in
long,
there. They're
too
right
close
in
to
your
my
face.
I'm like, all right, man. All right, you got everything you need. Just back it up just a little bit. Just a little
So
bit.
that's my big surprise for you guys next week, but we're not going to be recording. Is that I will have glasses next week.
Oh, cool. That will be
Yes,
cool.
and then I'll turn 40 next
Yeah.
month.
You need a breakdown, John. Just do it. Become one of us.
Yes, embrace the geek.
He's already got glasses. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. There you go. You look good. See, I hate that. I hate when people put on glasses and look better than I do. It pisses me
These are
off.
like these are probably 6 years old, and they're not even really a prescription. It's like, oh, put these on. It'll reduce the strain on your eyes. I think that's a bunch of doctor horse crap to make money off you. I'm gonna sell you a piece of glass just to make you
Well, I
feel
got
better.
the anti-glare sealing on it too, so they're definitely supposed to be better for computer time.
But did you get the blue light
Yes,
reducing?
that's the one.
What about you, John? How was your week? I don't think we've heard from you yet.
It was a week. I really don't have a lot to share. I knocked out tasks. I got stuff done. Nothing major happened this week. Although sitting with my wife in the living room last night and just kept hearing these noises. I think I got rats up in the attic.
Oh no!
That's not fun.
Well, especially not as a vegan.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I contacted a humane pest control, thinking they do live capture and release. No, they do live capture to euthanize.
It's harder when you're the invasive
humane.
species.
Yeah. So now instead of hiring someone to do it, I'll buy my own live traps and just release them outside because that's their space. As long as they're out of my house.
Pick a neighbor
I'm
you don't
fine.
like.
Yeah, there you go.
Get
over
a
to their
cat and let
house.
nature take its course, man.
I have a cat.
Kitty. Oh, you have a cat?
Yes.
Get a better
Cat
cat.
up in the attic, man.
Your cat's broken.
That or they're smart and they stay up high where they can't be gotten. No, so nothing big going on. It was a good week.
Cool. Well, I think we can wrap it up then. I think that's a good show.
Oh my God, no! I have
Actually, no.
things.
Let me go back to let me go back to something I did learn about PHP 8. You know how we're railing on named arguments?
Yes.
Yes.
So I brought that up with a bunch of developers, and while they understand my point of view, there are great use cases for it as far as code clarity goes. And I guess this topic was brought up in the RFC for named arguments, and there was a bunch of analysis done on code bases, like all the open source code bases and PHP core itself, and the amount of times that argument names change is so low. So yes, it will cause backward changing compatibility issues that we will become more aware of over time. You know, obviously, when this first comes out and people are using it, it's not going to be considered a backwards change. You know, people aren't going to change their version numbers in accordance because they're going to think nothing of it until the community starts some sort of backlash against those libraries. But over time, as they become more and more used, it'll be more well known that it's a potential issue. Mm-hmm. And the benefits of naming arguments, especially where you're just passing in a raw true or false, you know, like, and you don't know what that variable is necessarily, where now I got to go look at the docs, or you have to have an IDE like PHP Storm that will tell you what the arguments are. It will be a nice readability thing.
On that same note, I actually read a use case, and I was going to bring this up later, but attributes will also be using named arguments, which makes attributes very readable.
Okay, so a couple points. The argument you just made, John, of you know, when you go to use a library, it'll be nice because you know what you need to use. But if you're using it, you would need to know what it is anyways. Like it'll be more your code will be more readable.
No, it's right. The code you're writing, future you and the other developers on your team that are reading your code will be able to say, "Oh, this true means it's an associative array in can't even think of the method now, but JSON encode, right?" Mm-hmm. It's obviously JSON encode is one we use all the time, so we know what that true means. But in other use cases, it'll be nice knowing what the parameter is that you are just passing in this raw true for.
Yeah, and I think I had heard that statistic as well, at how little of an impact it made to existing code bases. But I'm curious about, or how infrequently variable names are changed in existing code bases, or argument names are changed in existing code bases. But I'm wondering if that's because, like, when you're using name arguments and there's some visibility to what you named these arguments, if that won't be more of a thing. Like, you have lazy developers who just like name, okay, I'm just calling everything ID, and then you have developers who overthink things. It's like, okay, I'm going to call this, guide ID because I only want IDs from guides here, and I don't know. Like I said, it is what it is. I got put in my place of, you're a developer, deal with it, and I don't have a good enough argument not to implement it, but
I don't think it should be. I don't necessarily think you should use named arguments everywhere. Like, I don't think it's going to be every argument you. I just don't think it's practical and necessary. When you're passing, in a. So, I think my threshold personally, it's going to be per developer or per
obviously.
team. But if you're passing in a variable, your variable is probably named. I'm passing in a contact. My variable name is contact. It's probably known. But when you're passing in something like a raw string or a Boolean like true or false that you don't have assigned to a variable, it'll be nice to know what that parameter is. Or if you are now calling a method that has 10 or 15 arguments, but you only need to pass in 5 because you're going to use the rest of the defaults, you don't have to fill in all those other spots now.
That's a good use case.
The best.
And
the best.
I guess.
No,
Sorry.
I was gonna say that the best use case I've seen is when you have a lot of optional parameters on something. You don't have to define the defaults all the way until the one that isn't the default.
Isn't that what I just said?
Yeah, that's
what John just said.
Literally, I just said it.
So though, I guess this seems obvious to me, but I'm going to ask it just to make sure. You can't mix and match then, right? You can't, like, for example, you have something where you have five parameters. You can't name a few and then not name the, like, you can't have your unnamed ones then name like the last one that you want to use or something.
That's a damn good question. I assume you could.
I would assume you couldn't, but I'm glad that it was a good question because I don't know the answer. I guess we could go to that website and try it.
That's where I was going. Trying to remember where I was at. Thomas is probably already.
I'm looking it up. I'm not seeing anything.
It's in Trello.
Yeah,
no, I mean I'm looking at the article, and
he's gonna go to the playground and just mess.
Okay.
Yeah. Named arguments.
Oh yeah, you can.
Go and figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Really? You can mix them?
You can. How does
that work?
As long as the unnamed arguments are in correct order in the beginning, and once you start using named arguments, you can't go back.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So you can.
I see.
Yeah. You actually get an error. Cannot use positional argument after named argument.
That sounds right.
That's cool then. Well, I'm glad I asked. And then also one last thing on that topic. Again, I heard that it rarely happens, but to Thomas's point last week, of course, the one time it does happen is on the demo page where we're trying to show people the new feature, So it's like, oh yeah, this hardly ever happens. It never happens. Let's do a demo. Hey, it happened right there.
Right. And that was my argument when I was talking to the other developers. I'm like, but it happened within PHP core in a demo like application or just a demo of the new feature.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole lot of like, shit happens, What are you gonna do?
Demo gods.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I'm still torn on it. I don't think it's going to be something I use everywhere, but there will be use cases for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my threshold would be. And would that theoretically could easily become like a company's coding standard where they say, hey, you always have to use it, or you have to use it if it's more than two arguments. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which
We'll
is
see.
I think it'd be
which would be fine, but you just have to be aware that it could cause you issues.
I think it'd be more likely that the company policy would be just don't use it.
Plausible deniability. Yeah.
You guys use Let's Encrypt, right?
Hey, Brian and Lum. How's it going, guys? Joining us in our chat. Uh, real quick, Thomas, I want you to repeat that. But before we get there, I want to make sure we're not having an issue. You see your audio is like just pegging
Yeah,
out, right?
I'm looking at it.
All right. I don't know if it's going to be an issue or not. I'm just making sure you see it.
I've tried tweaking it a little bit, and yeah, it's.
All right. Cool. Say that again.
You guys use Let's Encrypt, right?
Yes, we do. Just about everywhere now.
Yes.
And you've heard about what's going to happen in the coming weeks.
Yes, I have. I actually have.
I have not. Please do
Let's
tell.
Encrypt posted a blog post that says "Standing on our own 2 feet," and if you don't know how certificate authorities work, this will be an interesting education for you. Previously, the Let's Encrypt certificates were signed by a trusted parent. A trusted parent is one of the few that is listed in the browser or operating system's trusted certificate providers. Those providers can issue new certificates, lower level certificates, and they can also withdraw them. So a trusted provider could be told, hey, this site isn't what it said it was, and they can withdraw a certificate and say this site's no longer secure. Let's Encrypt in 2016 started their campaign to get themselves added as a trusted root certificate authority. But at the time that it launched, not enough devices out there had it added. So they decided to go along with having it signed by a parent certificate provided by somebody else. Well, their new transition is to using that 2016 certificate authority now. So starting...
How widely accepted is it?
They have a map here.
Pretty widely accepted. I think. Thomas, I'll let you talk.
After Android ice cream sandwich. So it looks like they've got a 66.2% distribution of Android devices. As far as browsers go, or as far as Windows and Mac go, those get updated frequently enough that they have a very widely covered platform. Because at this time, it is operating system dependent, not browser dependent.
Wait, what do you mean 66%? I thought you said after ice cream sandwich, which would be 99% coverage.
No,
that's the
goes
cumulative
down.
distribution.
7.18.
That's how.
Oh, so you're saying it's only available after 7.1?
Right, which
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you said after ice cream sandwich.
I'm trying to
Oh,
interpret this. Yeah,
that
I'm
is
trying to
what you
interpret
said.
this graph on the fly, and I'm getting it wrong.
Yeah, I don't remember where, but they did call out Android devices, older Android devices. Here we go. Prior to 7.1. So yeah, exactly where Thomas said. That
Okay.
Nugent,
Okay.
Nougat. Yeah. So Oreo, Pie, Android 10, all those will be fine. But that's a big. I mean, that's a big market for Android. That's one of the things that Android that's really different between the Android market and the iOS market is these older devices, especially in other countries, hang around for a long time, a very long time. So yeah, I don't know. And there's no plans on pushing some sort of fix out to the older devices.
Well, they mention
If you,
that you can use what's called an Acme alternate link relation. But really, besides that, they say, hey, Firefox on Android on old Androids will work.
yeah, I'm seeing that. It sounds like that's what they're
Yeah.
recommending.
Now,
Is
they're
use
saying that
Firefox.
because this blog post was written one day before Chrome released the statement that they would be switching to their own root certificates as well. So instead of using operating system root certificates, Chrome would use the distribution root certificates. So,
So, so theoretically, as if you update Chrome on your older Android, it should work.
yes.
So it says theory.
Yeah, so that's the stuff. And this is not going to affect existing certificates. Your certificate has already been signed by a different root authority, but new certificates issued after January 11th will be affected. So because there's a 1-year period of time on most Let's Encrypt certificates.
No, 3 months on
Oh,
Let's
is
Encrypt.
it?
Yeah, Let's Encrypt has always been 3 months.
So then
You have
by
to renew it.
April, everyone who's going to break will have broken. And I believe that most analytics programs let you track which version of Android your customers are using. So that's something to take into account. And if you're not comfortable making that jump, you can always go out there and buy a certificate from one of the old authorities. So knock yourself out.
So listen, last week I brought up the fact that none of us have been on Voices of the Elephant, but a certain one of our listeners they have been. I have a follow-up question. Have any of you ever been published on Laravel News? No,
Yes.
no, no. You've been published.
Yeah,
on
when
Laravel
I
News?
was working on Iron.io.
No. Well, then you're in good company because you knew who else got published on Laravel
Fucking
News?
Steve.
Fucking Steve. Fucking Steve. Every week it's fucking Steve. I swear to God. Guy is
I
like
hope
a
he's.
nightmare.
I hope he likes his bit.
That's true. We haven't heard from him since we started.
Yeah. No, he pinged me. He pinged me in Discord. He pops into Discord.
Stop
to
calling me
laugh at
fucking
us.
Steve.
I think he even changed his name in Discord to quote Steve. Exclamation point.
And Lumjacker from Twitch, if you're still with us, we're not calling PHP ugly. Our show is ugly, and we talk about PHP. Just wanted to clarify that. We love PHP. We use PHP every day. It's how we make our money.
I literally went on a 10-minute rant at the beginning of this show of how much of a fan I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an ironic title.
I got
Lumberjacker. Much like your name, Lumberjacker. Are you a real lumberjacker? I want to know.
Well,
Our listeners
there's no
want to
burr
know.
in there.
Yeah, it's a
so-
lumjacker,
not.
which is a unit of money from a video game.
Is that what a lumberjacker is? I gotta look that up now. I didn't know that was a thing. All right, lumberjacker. Are you a unit of? It isn't. Oh, that's definitely not what I was looking for.
Glad you're not sharing your screen there. Yeah, a lum is a Rayman reference.
Really? Cool.
Um,
Look at that. See, more than I am.
Hey, Anyway, we went off on a tangent there. Sorry, Lumjacker.
I mean, everything I'm seeing, even for Lumjacker, just doesn't come back very positive. I want you to know that. I really need to update my browser history.
So Steve is
yourself.
published.
Don't Google that.
Steve is published. Yes, he came out with an API for Envoyer, an Envoyer service, or the Envoyer service that's out there. You can pay for it. It's one of Taylor's services that you can sign up for, and he created some APIs for it. So yeah, Steve continuing to give much better. That's what I told Andreas. I'm like, I'm such a like, there's impersonator, there's that impersonator syndrome, whatever. I am actually that. Imposter syndrome. I am actually that. I talk a big game. I talk about how much I embrace it. You don't see me doing open source stuff. You don't see me making packages and publishing them. No. I'm a Charlotte. Charlotte, whatever.
I released an open source package last week.
What did you do?
It's under the Phone Burner open source domain, and we're integrating with dncscrub.com, dnc.com for the do not call list, and they don't have. I couldn't find a PHP library that was already out there, so I had already had one and open sourced it and enhanced it. I mean, it still has a long way to go, but it's being used currently in its current state, for better or worse.
Cool. I need to do something. I told Andreas I'd take a look at it. So Andreas is the guy who does one of the several things that he's behind is php.ug. Is that what it is? The PHP user group maps? Yeah.
That's a little too close to PHP ugly. Do we have a trademark on him?
I didn't even think to bring that up. Damn. That was yeah. No, I didn't think. But if you go to php.ug, it's a world map that shows you all the registered user groups in your area. Well, not all of them. All of the ones that people have bothered to register. It doesn't magically go out and register user groups. But he was mentioning how a lot of the user groups actually now with COVID have fallen out of. They're not current anymore, and so he needs to come up with a solution that would automatically scrape things to try to determine if user groups are active.
If he's listening or wants ideas, one of the websites that I use for our Ultimate Frisbee game, every 100 days, you have to say, yes, this is still active. So you get an email saying, your game is expired. Click this link to basically reactivate it, and if you don't click that, you basically fall off the site.
That's a way easier approach than what I was thinking about doing. Jesus.
But it doesn't stop people from saying yes, it's still active, even if it's not. So,
but I think that's
not
fine.
a foolproof thing. Yeah.
No, I don't think he's looking for a foolproof thing. I think he's just looking for just some sort of acknowledgement, because even like SDPHP, I wouldn't technically say it's dead. It's definitely inactive, but I wouldn't want it to be considered. I wouldn't want it to fall off the map. Like when COVID goes away, we start meeting up again. Yeah, we'd like to get to that point. So I would definitely.
It'd be nice to be able to have are you active or inactive? And obviously, prior to COVID, you'd probably just have, hey, click here if you're active, and let people just reactivate. And then once COVID hit, or whatever happens next in the world, have that temporarily suspended, or some other way to change the status of your group so that it's well known.
That's a good idea. I'm going to fork the repo. I'm going to pull it in to make sure that they're even tracking the people who register the user groups, because I don't even know if they're doing that. And if they are, I'll try to write a quick script for them that does that, and maybe I will contribute to this. I had a much more complicated approach As I always over-engineer this stuff. You know how I roll, John. Don't be surprised.
All right, and now I want to hear what your solution was.
How do you clone? How do you clone now in the new interface? I don't see. I see how I see how I can download. I don't see how you clone a repo.
The
now
button
in
just
GitHub.
says code instead of clone now.
Yeah,
When-
but I don't.
Yeah,
wanna
but when you
pull it
click on the
down.
button, it's a
I wanna
drop down that
clone it.
lets you clone it.
You want to fork it up in the top right, right?
Fork
Is that
it.
what you're looking for?
Yes. I'm
Yeah,
looking
that's
for
the top
fork.
right.
Thank you, John. Yes, I am going to fork it. I'm forking now.
I upset the Laravel Elite this week.
I want to get back to that, but my good buddy Matt Lance is in the process of deploying his first Hello World in human form, and it's been a long day for that guy. I hope everything's going well, but I want to throw a name in the hat. I think he should call his kid Enterprise Elite, just to piss everybody off. Just piss off everyone. Okay, how did you upset the Laravel?
Well, I'll give you a
Thomas?
hint. The question was, Laravel devs, what are some things you wish you knew when you first started? And I responded,
Oh. How did I miss this? I have notifications when you post, Thomas.
oh, really? That's not good.
What did you respond?
There's going to be a new version every week.
It's not a new version. It's an update. It's not like it's a completely new version. They're just fixes every week. It's a rolling.
Well,
framework.
I got downvoted to oblivion. And the one
Oh, was this on
Yes.
Reddit?
and the one response I got was major versions are on a 6-month release cycle. There shouldn't be any breaking changes in between those. And I refrained from replying by just highlighting the word shouldn't.
Oh, man.
But I was actually wrong. There were
Is this
two
in Trello?
versions
Did
this
you not
week.
put it in Trello? Come on, Thomas.
No, this is not in Trello. I do not highlight my failures.
Oh, come on, man.
Wasn't a
Are you
failure. That's a
making a-
win in
No.
my book. What are you talking about?
That was downvoted to oblivion.
It doesn't matter. It's still a win in my book.
Nikita Popov, you guys may know, one of the main contributors to PHP Source, has created PHP Crater. Crater. So he calls it a cheap ripoff of Rust Crater, which is a experimental tool to run across parts of the Rust ecosystem. Its primary purpose is to detect regressions in the Rust compiler, and does this by building a large number of crates, running their test suites, and comparing the results between the two versions of the Rust compiler. So what Nikita Popov is doing is downloading 20 gigabytes of the top PHP projects in Packagist, in Composer, and running the tests on 7.4, and then running the tests on 8.
Oh, I think this is exactly how they figured out that whole named arguments statistic that John was mentioning.
Yeah. So this is a tool that grabs every popular project that's out there, runs it on PHP 8, and returns the results if there are differences between the two. And this tells them what on 8 needs attention, who they notify to make changes, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very powerful tool, but it's interesting. So yeah, it says here that if you download the top 2,000 packages, that's roughly 20 gigabytes.
I like that it's configurable too. You can, however many packages you want to download, you're good to
Or
go.
specific packages.
And his comment in here is, it's unlikely that this will work for anyone but me, but the basic usage is.
Yeah, I gotta love Nikita. He does amazing work. So that's how we're prepping for PHP 8, which is going to be in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, December 10th. PHP 8 RC5 was released today, so we're really closing in. Very, very excited.
I should put that into my Docker environment and see what.
How long are you
breaks.
guys going to wait?
Good question. For our biggest projects, forever.
Yeah, probably as for a while, but yeah.
Well, luckily our biggest client has moved. We have a better deployment system now.
That's true.
I think we'll be able to, get it into test or staging fairly quickly. If we wanted to push, it really depends.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, Thomas, just because I see it in your Trello
Fire
board.
away.
Is this solid card something to talk about? Because I want to mention, if you are not a subscriber to PHP Architect, you should think about at least buying, and this sort of stuff interests you, you should really think about getting this month's issue, if not like a year subscription. But there is a fantastic article in PHP Architect for November that just does a great. I mean, they're. I think John and I were talking about it on the podcast. The whole month of November, all the articles are just so good. But there's one specifically on Solid and a breakdown of the whole principle and everything, and official terms and real world.
Are you talking about my
terms,
ancient
like
ticket in Trello?
Well, it looks like it was deleted anyway.
I see
The
it.
person, yeah. Well, no,
The actual
when you go
Reddit
into the
thread?
post, yeah.
Is it gone?
The post was deleted by the person who
Yeah, that's
originally
not too
posted it.
surprising.
I mean, the comments are still there, but
Yeah,
Well, then my little commercial still stands. This month's PHP Architect is great, and you can go download the free article for November. I can't remember what that is. Oh, it's Community Corner and all the cool podcasts you can listen to.
what's number 2? That's right. It's us. Yeah, no, this thread was sort of an interesting attempt at a hot take where he was saying, solid principles don't always apply, and you can make a perfectly good application not using solid principles. And then as his example, he described, the my first web page type raw PHP stuff, and it was quickly burned to the ground. But it did cover a lot of sort of interesting misunderstandings about Solid. And I think the big one was that you always have to use the most formatted, proper version of Solid.
you can't adhere 100% to it. It's like anything else. It's just to help you write better code, but there is no one way end all be all code. I mean, it just can't be. It's still an art form, and there's when you get into the design patterns, you can go 5 different ways. You're not going to pick the right one.
And I think that was sort of where the issue broke down, was that the claim was that these principles don't always stand, and that these rules are not necessarily always to be followed. But the problem was that he was using as an example things that didn't need to be over-engineered. And that's a weak example. People basically just said, yeah, don't over-engineer things. Don't spend too much time on something if it's completely unnecessary.
Right, but the fact is the principles still stand. Whether you follow them to a T or not is another story.
Right. So, yeah, it's a good discussion if you want to just check out the comments, because the original question isn't there anymore, but you do have a lot of very insightful people talking about why Solid exists in the shape that it does and why it has stood the test of time. So, but
no, principles are universal.
I'll have to check out the PHP Architect article. You'll have to send it to me.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
I'll have to buy it.
It's encoded. It's encoded with your information, so they know if it gets out. I'm not doing it.
Eric, I know you're excited about this one.
That's not true, right, John?
We talked.
It is true. It is true.
We talked last week about the YouTube DL being taken down from GitHub.
Actually, we didn't talk about it. Yeah, that was a big topic. Where's my card on that? I did have a card on here for YouTube DL, but somewhere it has disappeared.
You moved all your cards into the show notes for some reason. I'll put it back.
YouTube
There
DL
it is.
Not there.
In the
Who
show
was it?
notes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. So GitHub, so YouTube DL, if you're not aware what YouTube DL is, it's a fantastic application. I use it all the time as a podcaster. When our recordings go bad and I have to edit podcasts or something goes sideways, I would use YouTube DL to actually extract the audio from our YouTube stream, pull it in, and I would edit that. So it has a lot of very legitimate use cases, but GitHub,
it's a downloader. You didn't fully clarify.
Yeah, I'm
right?
sorry.
You can download videos, not just the audio. You could download any video
and it's not,
from YouTube.
It's not just YouTube either. It's just about any streaming video out there you can download.
I'll back you up on that one. It downloads from a lot of different formats, but none of them are protected formats.
Okay. It's a very powerful tool. Just put it together like that. And it's a handy tool to have, especially if you're in video production and you need to grab your videos or something. I've actually used it to back up all the PHP Ugly YouTube videos before, where I've downloaded our whole library. But anyways, GitHub gets notifications for takedown a lot. It's not uncommon for GitHub to get a notification for takedown. Typically, it's a copyright infringement in the sense that people say that code is stolen, or sometimes they get notifications that a repo is a virus. So them getting a notification to take down a repo in and amongst itself isn't that unusual. What was unusual for the YouTube DL is that the takedown was a who was it from, Thomas?
It was a DMCA takedown from Google.
DMCA, yeah.
And if you don't understand the difference between a normal takedown, like this is a virus, or a DMCA takedown, the way that the law is written is that a DMCA takedown takes priority over legitimacy. So the repo has to be removed by GitHub, and then they can investigate whether or not it was a legitimate claim.
So you're basically guilty until you prove yourself innocent.
Yeah.
Takedown. And and typically it's a big company that takes you down. It's not like some guy calls up and says, "Hey, I wrote that song." It's that guy's multi-million-dollar production company that calls. And
now,
takes you down.
one of the things that most people will be familiar with DMCA takedowns is reposting a YouTube video or a music video where they say this is our copyrighted content. However, there is another part of the DMCA that says if you're trying to circumvent a copy protection, then any code that would do that is also susceptible to a DMCA takedown. So if your code is able to decrypt our encrypted content, then we can take down your code. And that's the rule that this takedown was issued under. So back to you, Eric.
So that was a very unusual situation that they took down a repo for that reason, and it was obviously it's one of those situations where a lot can be argued about it. But fortunately, GitHub actually worked with the repo owner and addressed the specific issues that kind of justified the takedown. Some of the big issues were in a few of their examples. They show you how you can pull down videos from registered artists and things like that. So they had them change that. They had them change a couple things in the code base. And when I say they, I mean GitHub. GitHub worked with the repo owner and said, "Listen, you need to make these modifications, and then we'll
GitHub, who is Microsoft."
That's essentially what happened. Is YouTube DL got reinstated, and there was already a cry out in the open source community. It's like, okay, everybody move to GitLabs, or everybody move to Bitbucket, and I mean, there's some legitimacy to that, but honestly, it's you're just.
But because it's a Git repo, there's nothing stopping you from going backwards and grabbing the version prior to these changes.
Which brings up a lot of other questions. However, the interesting thing about this is how badly this backfired. So, as I said, one of the rules of DMCA is if you're decrypting encrypted content that you shouldn't be, then that's a violation. However, it turns out that YouTube DL wasn't violating any of the DMCA rules as far as encryption or decryption or breaking copyright security. So when they got reinstated, GitHub said, by the way, we're putting in a $1 million fund to support other repos that are invalidly claimed in DMCA, and we will defend people who we believe are being wrongfully targeted by for their material. So not only did YouTube DL get reinstated, but now there's a fund defending them with $1 million in it, which I am so excited about.
Yeah. So yeah, fun week. All right. I think we're good. Are we good?
I don't know. I haven't done Doom and Gloom in a while. You guys want some?
Not if it's going to be this Ubuntu one, I don't.
The Ubuntu one is bad.
All right, go ahead. I mean, Doom and Gloom is mentioned in our anthem, so guess we should do it.
Yeah, there's a bug in Ubuntu. Let's see what the version is, 20.04.
20. Mm-hmm.
And probably previous versions that it turns out you can get root as a normal user in a very, very easy way. The sort of explanation is that you create an environment for a user that doesn't exist, and then
So you already have access to the
right. So this is this is a privilege escalation thing. So you create a symlink for your region and language, and pop open a dialog box that spikes the CPU at 100% because it's malformed. And then you remove the file, kill the accounts daemon, and then wait, log out of your...
So don't get us banned for telling people how to hack a Ubuntu box.
Well, it should be fixed by now if you're keeping yourself up to date. But it's a way too easy root escalation for Ubuntu. I bring it up just because it is like a 5-minute thing. You can sit down at a computer and execute it and turn back.
I'm on 2010. Or what are we on now? 2010, I think. What was this? You said this was 2004. Yeah, we're on 2010.
But
So
that's not my real doom and gloom.
okay.
Police in Jackson, Mississippi have launched a 45-day pilot program where... Oh, I have to cough 1 sec. They've launched a 45-day pilot program where they will be watching through Ring doorbell owners' cameras 24/7. Real-time monitoring outside of the house of anyone who has a Ring doorbell.
Is this volunteer? Like, do you volunteer for this, or are you just saying they're just doing it to anybody they want to do it to?
Ring users can sign up for the program and live stream the feed from their camera directly to the cops' real-time crime center without the knowledge or consent of their neighbors, delivery workers, children playing nearby, or anyone else who might get caught up in the warrantless surveillance dragnet.
So I have a Ring doorbell. I have to opt in to let the police use it.
Well, I haven't read the terms of service for the Ring doorbell, and I don't know when they will change it to being an opt-in. But right now, this kind of product is less managed than spam is on the internet. So with spam, you have to do what's called a double, let's call newsletters. You have to do what's called a double opt-in for your emails to be valid, where the user subscribes and then confirms their subscription from an email that you sent them to confirm it. That's federally mandated. And that's to prevent spam, and that's, almost 15 years old now, I think. That's enforced by lots of rules on how mail servers propagate throughout the internet and get blocked at certain junctures and things like that. No such thing exists for this type of device or this type of information. It's all in the terms of service for the Ring doorbell when you buy it and click on accept, and they can change the terms of service at any time. So for the time being, yeah, you can opt into this opportunity, but there's absolutely nothing preventing Amazon from making it a requirement of ownership or an opt-out system.
Yeah, but I think there's enough like EFF and people like that out there that will make it noted.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is
the market
they'll make it known, but right now the market is only sustaining 2 video doorbell services, and Amazon is the biggest company in the world. So without laws to prevent this kind of abuse of power, there's nothing forcing them to do the right thing. This is a product that they're selling to the police in Jacksonville and are projected to launch later on nationwide.
Jackson, Mississippi.
Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah.
Yeah. So the link in the show notes is a petition to sign to say you don't want this, that you want laws against it.
Yes. Because that's how I found out about it, oddly enough, is the EFF, or the FFF.
Yeah, that's what those groups are great for that.
They're great. These groups are really great, and they cover very important stuff, but they're so under-recognized by the general public. And the implications...
That's true, too.
If I posted this on my Facebook, none of the people I'm friends with on Facebook would understand the implications of this, that the police have a 360 view of your cul-de-sac without your permission.
It's not a 360 view.
Well, I can tell you in my suburban neighborhood, there's enough cameras on doorbells that they could recreate in 3D the entire neighborhood from the different perspectives they get.
Well, that's always so. So you want to know how twisted I am? First off, thanks Lumjacker and Nick LA for the follows on Twitch. I really don't pay enough attention to our Twitch statistics. I really should pop in there, but both of those people were talking to us from Twitch. I don't know if you guys, do you see that in Discord? Do they tell you where they're talking from? Oh, okay, all right. You do.
Well, and I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but we did get subscription notifications on the live stream.
I did, yeah. So, anyways, this is how twisted my head is, because we know that people listen to us around the world, and I feel very fortunate that is the case. And we also live in a country where we pride ourselves on our freedom, and one of those freedoms that is not being monitored or surveyed. And I know other countries, they have the police have cameras and parks, and that's really frowned upon in this country. It's this constant battle like this. It's this constant battle back and forth. But I've always had this twisted opinion of, if we'll survey ourselves. Like, if the government would subsidize cameras for homes and businesses, we would buy them and put them in. And like every car should have a dash cam now. It's like, why are cars being created without dash cams? It's like, we'll do it ourselves, and then like you said, then the barrier for authorities to do things like you were suggesting here with the ring cams is a lot lower, because they don't have to go out and install this stuff. They'll, at one point down the road, they'll say, well, hey, everybody has, every house has a code that it has to come with a ring camera now, or a door camera now. So every house in the neighborhood already has one. Why don't you guys just let us tie into it so we can monitor your neighborhood? And they don't have to sell the whole, we're going to come in your neighborhood and put cameras in, because that seems a lot more intrusive than, you guys already have the cameras. Just let us tie into them and help you protect your neighborhood. And it's like, I don't understand why the government never did that. Like, why they never just said, oh, hey, you want a ring camera for your house? It'll be $5. $5? That seems great. No, $5. We'll even install it for free. We'll monitor ourselves, and eventually we'll get tired of monitoring ourselves, and we'll ask you to monitor us for us. That's how we are as Americans. It's like, we want our freedom. We want our independence. We want you to watch our neighborhood so I don't have to watch it. So I'm going to buy the camera and I'm going to put it right here. You just watch everybody but me, because I don't want you to watch me, but I want you to watch everybody else.
Yeah, it gets messy. I mean, one of the crazy things is when the Iraqi government was rebuilt, they actually implemented a right to privacy in their constitution, and the American Constitution has no right to privacy in it whatsoever, except for a vague definition of housing military people by force in your house. So it gets very, very messy, and especially when you look at what happened with the Patriot Act, which basically said, as long as we can connect you by 3 or 4 steps to somebody we're investigating who is not a citizen, then we can drop in on anything that you do. So if you know anyone who's not an American citizen and communicate with them on a regular basis, then you're actually not granted privacy rights under the Patriot Act.
Good to see Buttery's chat.
Yeah. Well, George Orwell said the same thing. He just wasn't as happy about it.
So Buttery Buttery put in our chat. This is why George Orwell was actually wrong and Huxley was right, which I'm not familiar with Huxley.
Yeah, you are.
We will accept our oppression willingly because it makes us comfortable. Who's Huxley? I'm sorry. Who's Huxley? But you're right. You're right, Buttery. That's exactly. I'll add it to the show notes who Huxley is. I think
Brave New World.
Oh,
yeah.
Huxley? Oh, okay. Then I do know Huxley.
I mean, we're in an era where both are happening simultaneously. It's,
mm-hmm.
you know, it's becoming more and more easy to explain to my friends why I'm suddenly a gun owner. Like,
that still weirds me out with you.
Yeah, but does it really? Like, look around.
I think that's the wrong reason. Personally for me, I think that's the wrong reason. But yeah,
I was always under the impression that America was too modern for a tyrannical government to take seed. And so that was my, like, yeah, the whole militia defense is unnecessary because our government is too progressive and modern for tyranny and fascism to take seed. So I don't need a gun. Turns out I was wrong. Now I have a gun.
See, I think that's, yeah, I think that's, what you said is why I've always supported the right to bear arms. Yeah, I think and I still, like, and to your point, I never thought we would ever get to that point, and we're bumping up to that right now. But
I mean, we're talking about the force of the removal of a president from the White House by force is what is currently in the news. So, like,
I don't think this is going to happen.
I don't know.
All right, I started the show off all happy.
You started it with politics too, so don't pin me on this.
All right, but fine. But you pissed us off with your politics. So let's just wrap this up then. Jesus, way to go, Thomas.
Hey, I warned you it was going to be doom and gloom.
Okay.
That's it. I'm done.
Done? Right.
I'm done.
With you. So just a reminder, we will be off next week. We'll be taking a break. It's a holiday here in the U.S. and I don't know. It's going to be one of those weird ones. It's typically one where families get together, but I don't know. It's going to be a weird one. But either way, we're gonna take the opportunity to not get together and talk. As always, we'd like to thank our Patreons on Patreon. We appreciate your support. And look at you, Thomas. You just put their full name on there.
I just pasted what you gave me.
Want to call them out? Okay, well, thank you. Full name of everybody who supports us on Patreon. We'll
Buttery,
that up for the
Trumpet. Appreciate that. Again, at the bottom of the list.
Now we know his full name, though. Buttery, Trumpet. Yeah. That's, all right. Want to take that off anytime? That would be good. If you're listening to the audio stream, we do stream live on Twitch, YouTube, and Periscope. And
theoretically,
Periscope's working in Facebook. We stream Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Pacific time. So, that key time zone for podcasters for everybody in the world, except for, our demographic of the United States where everybody else is sleeping. But drop in and join us. Appreciate it. Thanks to the new subscribers we got on Twitch. I need to give Twitch some love, man. I tell you, I've been popping over there and watching coders lately, and I don't give it enough love. Buttery and anybody else who's interested, I've been wanting to do a video of my Vim configuration and my PHP Storm configuration, which I also use Vim in, and how I synchronize the two to behave very similar. So I will try to get that done. Maybe I'll do that on my week off, and you can show you some of the plugins and stuff I use. I know I get that a lot. People asking me what plugins I use, And like I said, I hadn't been using it as my daily driver. But I'm probably I might spend next week using it full time again, and then we'll see where it goes. But I need to get Xdebug working in there. But I'll get a video together, and I'll probably just post it on the PHP Ugly channel because I'm not going to do anything else. Besides that, I think that's it. Anybody have anything else they want to say?
Thanks for listening. I'm John.
I'm Eric.
I'm Tom. Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly. I was trying to route my audio so that we could get the
1, 2, 1, 2.
anthem
Coming
out
off
there,
the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all.
It's on the stream. It's on the stream.
Let's run it again.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish.
You have to watch it on the
send
stream.
a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
That will never get old. That will never get old.
except I didn't hear a word of it.
That will never get old. I listen to it at least 3 times a week. When I edit the show, I listen to the show again, and then I usually listen to it one more time because it's just gross.
I'm stopping my local.
Good call. Stopping my local.
So you're talking about Xdebug. You're gonna love this. I got crazy high the other night and decided I was going to configure Xdebug on my machine. And it took me so long to figure out how to get it working. And I cannot believe it, but I actually got it working.
It's not that hard once you understand how to do it. The reason I had to reach out to John today is because I was having a weird problem where it was saying my port was in use, and then I tried to put it over to another port, and it wasn't working. So I thought maybe I was missing something. But once you've done it a couple times, it's not that difficult. But yeah, it's finicky. It's definitely not a plug and play solution. I want to get it working in Vim. I had it working in Vim before, right before I cut over to PHP Storm. I had it working, and it was like I didn't understand how to use it. I just not the Vim piece. I just didn't understand how to use Xdebug. It didn't make sense on breakpoints and what I was looking at. It wasn't until after I started using PHP Storm, and I started to appreciate what Xdebug was doing for me and how to use it.
Well, I mentioned Xdebug Cloud is going to be a thing coming up, and you guys seemed very nonplussed about it. I don't understand the point of it. That you just connect to the cloud server and it handles everything for you.
If you're configuring locally using Docker, it's not that hard.
Right, but if you're doing things like catching profiles or traces, you need to like find a place to store it, find the tool to open and analyze it. Like, I can.
Xdebug is not the tool for analyzing
Right,
traces,
but
though.
the cloud,
That's cache grind.
and Kcache grind is garbage.
I agree, but that's still the current tool for
Right,
analyzing.
and so now that
Xdebug
there's
doesn't
going to
do
be a
that.
paid cloud service for Xdebug, maybe we'll get some actually good tools out of it.
Maybe, but I don't. I guess
He's
time
only
will tell.
working on it 60 hours a month. If he's going to be making enough money off of it to be working 120 hours, and that's only recent.
I'm with John. I don't see.
I'm
not sure
I
I
am
see a
sure we'll
benefit
be
to it.
covering it in the future, and it's going to be amazing.
Because I mean, you
if
still have,
it's more than just Xdebug, yes. If it's
And you
just to get your code reporting back to your IDE, then no.
and to configure it, you'd still have to configure your IDE somehow to it, and somehow configure Xdebug Cloud to listen to a website. And how does that work if the website's only local? You know, like John said, you're just using a local Docker.
I don't know. I didn't
I don't
make
know.
it.
I mean,
That part's not going to be hard to tell your local PHP to say, hey, my Xdebug host is this cloud server. It's going to
That's
be
true.
easier than it is
Well-
locally, because right now on Mac it was awesome because you could just use host.docker.internal as your DNS and it works fine. On Linux, it's not the same way. You actually have to put an IP address in.
Right, but remember, this isn't just a new service that's being provided. This is going to be a built-in integration to Xdebug 3. So,
hey, John, did you test that on Linux? That host.docker.
Yeah, it's not a thing. It's because you're in an actual virtual machine on Mac that it's using its own internal DNS before hitting regular DNS. In Linux, you don't have that virtual machine.
Oh, so the reason I asked that, and I didn't test this, but I saw a bunch of things that said that host.docker.internal .internal should be working on Linux now. And I'm like, oh, I got to talk to John about that.
I'll try it right now, and I'm going to tell you it's probably not going to work.
I believe you.
I don't think you do. That's the
You're
problem.
right. I
You never
don't
believe
You're-
me.
You're so full of shit. I lose more and more respect for you every day. Yeah, I'm not even sure what I would test. Oh, I don't even have my Docker running right now.
Mine's running now. I'm in there. If I go ping host.docker.internal, well, ping command not found. No, the name or service not known.
Okay. All right. I don't know then. Yeah, I got mixed results when I looked for it and whatever. Jeez, I gotta
Yep.
get my Docker going. I do love Docker. A Docker on Linux is just such a pleasure. UPT. Boom. Get up and running, baby. All right. You look bored.
no, I was just reading about the new In-N-Out that's opening up tomorrow.
Don't do
Oh,
it.
wow. Out there?
Yeah, we're
You
getting our
guys?
first one tomorrow morning at 10.
Cool. Cool. I'm not a huge In-N-Out person. I mean, it is what it is. It's a quick burger, but I don't see the draw.
Well, it's going to
it.
be like 4-hour lines. That's the issue.
Well, oh yeah, that's true.
Especially
Not
when
worth
you get the
it.
animal rights activists blocking the drive-through.
You know, Colorado Springs, not as many animal rights activists as you'd think.
All right, I'm gonna go play some rocket.
All right, I am too.
Before I get down.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm going to kill the stream now.